What is going on, everyone? Good morning. It is Monday morning. Time to attack another week. That's why we went full bandana mode. Bandana is pretty much a statement like, yo, it's time to attack the day. And here we are with the purple bandana, the 76ers last night. That's where we begin. That was incredible. That was a super fun watch. There's only so many regular season games that tickle my fancy. And when you watch last night's performance, that has to be one of them. I hated the uniforms. I love the 6:30 start time, to be honest with you. I think that's something we can continue to utilize here, Sixers, NBA. 6:30, I like that. It gets me done a little bit earlier. I was able to watch Jersey Shore at a more reasonable time. I think I started my first episode of Jersey Shore last night after I was done recording around – what time was that? Maybe 11-ish, 11:30, and I was able to stay up until around 3 watching season 2 when they were in Miami. So I got a ton of Jersey Shore done. Look, good game last night. Now we have this. Now we have to watch the Flyers tonight to see if they bounce back and can generate any sort of good momentum against the New York Rangers. Yeah, the 8 o'clock starts. No, thank you. I like the 6:30s. Those jerseys, by the way, they sucked. Those jerseys were pathetic. We cannot continue to wear those. Although I understand the outcome that we saw. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can continue to rock that Liberty Bell, Jay, because that was atrocious. Here we go, though. We are taking the first sip of coffee of the week, of the new work week. Here we go. Cheers to everybody else out there who's rocking the coffee with me. Dominic asked, who's your favorite Jersey Shore character? Well, it's not like it's a cartoon here where it's a cartoon character. These are real people. But it's got to be Paulie D. I mean, the guy's fucking hilarious. It's got to be Paulie D. And if it's the women, it's Snooki. I loved Snooki at the time, back in the day when I was watching the show live, and I love Snooki now. Huge Snooki fan. What type of coffee am I rocking with today? I went with the Wawa Hazelnut Black. S-Rock says, multiple scouts from the Preds are at the Phantoms game. I feel a trade is close. Yeah, when I saw those reports that there were some Nashville scoots in the building, I figured that there's something that was cooking and brewing behind closed doors, which is inevitable, right? You gotta realize that there's something that's going to be done. They're going to have to try and make this defense better. They got to make some sort of move. So it's not shocking that that's the case, but it is, it's interesting to hear that there are some guys out there watching some Phantoms games to get ready for the Flyers trades possibly. Tell me you like The Office. Of course I like The Office. Now, since it moved over to Peacock, I haven't had an opportunity to really grind it. But yeah, I've watched all the episodes through, I don't know, maybe 3 times through. So, 2 or 3 times. I think I might have got that third in there through. But, I mean, I've seen a bunch of episodes a billion times as it is. Hilarious. Call of Duty episode, probably my favorite. Do you believe that the Sixers can stay in first place without Embiid? Full game up now. No. Not without Joel Embiid. No. Last night was a fun game, and I go through this all the time, right? That game does not mean that this is what they're going to be every game without Joel Embiid. Honestly, that type of performance is not going to happen again. It's not going to happen many times ever. That was insane. 46 points in the third quarter. That is outrageous. So, no, that doesn't change my opinion on the Brooklyn Nets still being a better team, even with Joel Embiid. I thought the Brooklyn Nets were going to steal that first spot when Joel Embiid was still playing for this team. So if I'm going to look at a big sample size of Joel Embiid not being available on the floor, I would imagine that that's going to cost this team the top seed, and that's okay. It's not a huge deal. It's not a big problem. I think it's okay. I'm not that guy that screams and pounds the table that you need to have that first overall seed or you're not going to be able to do anything. Evan says, me and my buddy was at the game last night. The energy was insane. It felt like the Wells Fargo Center was full instead of 30,000 people. I loved it when Dwight led the ref you suck chant. Dwight did a lot of things. There was a play, because I caught a little bit of Scott Van Pelt last night. There was a play where he had, it might have been a dunk or a nice pass, or I don't remember who was leading the charge with him. But as he's running back on defense, he's pointing into the stands, telling people to cheer. Now, he does that when he's on the bench, not playing, after someone makes a play. But this is after there was a play actually made, and he's running up and down the floor pointing to the fans. You could tell that the level of noise in the building definitely generated a lot of that entertainment for the Sixers players, and that's what kind of sparked them to play with that attitude, right? With that type of that type of personality out there. When Ben Simmons is flexing, giving them the old LeBron James elbow flex, and when he's screaming with authority after a big dunk, well, yeah, that's because of the energy in the crowd. So it was really nice to hear, by the way, too, from the just from watching on TV. Did I fill out my bracket yet? No, not yet. Not yet. I have slacked a little bit on college basketball this year. I hate to say it. I normally am maybe this is what I need. I need March Madness again, because March Madness with my buddies, we used to have like a 4-day event. We would just hang out, beers, pizza, wings, nonstop 4 days. And then last year, without having the tournament, it's almost like I need that again for me to kind of remember, like, oh shit, I just slacked with college basketball this year, and I'm very disappointed in myself that it slacked the way that it did. Michael Gibbons thinks that Gonzaga is going to get the job done. Well, it's a good chance for sure. We got a $5 donation from Just Call Me Flair. Did you hear the chants when Maxey stepped on the court? I like the kid, to be honest. Yeah, of course. I think he's got a unique skill set that we're excited to see him grow if he stays here, if he's not in any sort of trade package, because he could definitely be a target for another team, or not necessarily a target, but something that moves the needle a little bit more. Tyrese Maxey, I even said that when he was playing. I think it was after that 30-plus point performance where he just went out there and balled and played his game, and he started to rack up a lot of points. He was taking it to the rim. You could see him soar in the air when he flies to the rack. It's very beautiful looking. He's like perfect in midair. We've seen him do that. We've seen him take some jump shots, and also when he was putting out that performance, when I wonder what did he finish with? Because I remember, I'm going to look it up. Tyrese Maxey drops 30. I know it was more than 30, but I think it was 39. That's right. It was very close to 40. So when he dropped that 39 points, I was like, damn, I would have loved to seen what a building would have been like if he was at home and there was a lot of people in the building and he was going nuts and he was having that type of effort. He missed out on that, and he got a little taste of it. Because I know the texter commenter before mentioned that it felt like a full building. Imagine when a full building's really in there, though, giving Tyrese Maxey that type of love, showing that type of support. Brodes, you going to go to any games soon? I was looking into some Phillies tickets. I think they're the most reasonable for me right now at the time, considering there's way more games and there's way more people allowed in the stadiums, which drives the prices down and it makes it easier to grab tickets. Not that it's insanely hard to do it, but with 3,100 compared to 9,000 and with the amount of games in the MLB season, it's a little bit more reasonable to get out there. I was looking at a couple Phillies tickets, thinking about opening day. They're running about 130, 140 right now. So this is on, a SeatGeek, StubHub, those type of ticket places. So, maybe not an opening day game, although I think when I went to the Bryce Harper one, where Race Hoskins hit that grand salami and McCutchen started the season off with a solo ding-dong, I think I paid around, if I remember correctly, I think I paid around $150 for those tickets. I think so. I hope, I don't know if this is a joke or not. But, hey, dude, you have to credit Furkan more than what you've done so far. He showed he's an important part of the team. Do I agree? No. No, I do not. I think Furkan Korkmaz should get 0 minutes in the playoffs, and I think he stinks. Quite frankly, I don't think that he is a piece to this team that you should have to rely on. Now, you have to rely on it because off the bench, that's the shooting you have. But that's a problem with this team. When that is the shooting that you have, that's a problem because he's not going to be able to get a lick of separation when it comes to good teams. Like everyone's like, oh, yeah, look what Furkan did. Okay. Look at the Wizards. Look at the Bulls. Now, the Spurs are a nice team, but last night, I'm not telling you I'm crediting Furkan Korkmaz for how good he is. That's one of those games where it's like, holy hell, what the hell just happened? Everyone was making their shots. Everyone was crushing threes, and at one point they were shooting 77% from the field. What am I supposed to do with that information? Think that that's really who Furkan Korkmaz is, or it's a product of what type of game it was where it was insane and everyone was just drilling their shots? The Wizards, the Bulls, when people have big games against those type of opponents, it means nothing to me because it's not the same as doing it against a team that actually matters. That's how I think. Doesn't mean that's the way you have to think. It's just the way that I think. It's the way that I approach basketball. I'm not trying to suck the fun out of your entertainment value. If you think Furkan Korkmaz is the greatest shooter in NBA history, then by all means. By all means. By all means. Oh, we got a $2 donation. Where are you getting opening day for $130? I saw $300. I think, and we can do a little friendly search on online here as we hang out this morning. I think I saw it on StubHub. Let's look it up. I'm on StubHub. Phillies. Let's see. Yeah, Atlanta Braves. 4 tickets left at the lowest price, $133. Thursday, April 1st, home opener. 133, 139, 148. Now you're sitting in section 434, 422. But that's where I was. Last year, I think I paid $150 and my back was against the wall. So here's the person, by the way. Thank you so much for the $2 donation, Jake. Good thing Doc Rivers is thinking differently. Really? Well, this is funny because Brett Brown played Furkan. And Brett Brown was destroyed and abused for playing Furkan Korkmaz. What does Brett Brown see in Furkan? How dare he play Furkan? Furkan stinks. How does Brett Brown not recognize that? Now when Doc Rivers plays Furkan Korkmaz, it's woo! Woo! Doc Rivers, man, does he know what he's doing with Furkan Korkmaz? Does anybody see an issue with that? Does anybody see a problem with that? Because I sure do. I think that that's hilarious. And by the way, for as great as Doc Rivers has been here, and for great as he has been throughout his career, to act as if Doc Rivers has never had a bad thought process, an issue. You heard Kawhi Leonard and Paul George talk about what's Ty Lue do differently than what Doc Rivers does? Oh, a lot. Oh, that this is a different coach. They're throwing a lot of shade towards Doc Rivers. So, and I'm not saying that automatically means Kawhi and Paul George are right, but let's not act like just because Doc Rivers is the head coach that he's never made a mistake before and he's never made a poor decision in his life. Just say it. Just think. Just because he's where he is and has all the regular season wins and all and has the one championship a long, long time ago. I think Doc only plays him because shooting off the bench. Yeah, if they had a better shooter off the bench, it's like you're playing because this is what we kind of have. We're playing because this is the roster construction. Just weeks ago, what was the conversation? Oh, we need more scoring. Oh, we need more shooting off the bench. Oh, this bench can't shoot for a lick. Oh, this bench can't score any sort of points. And now all of a sudden, Doc is a genius for playing Furkan Korkmaz. I think it's more of a product of what this roster is more than anybody else. Yeah, I know. I can see the guy's name. I think that there is some, maybe some of that in play. Do you think, where are we here? Do you think the Flyers are a playoff team? The way that they're playing now, Mike, no. They're obviously not a playoff team. But here's my problem. So I think it's solidified Bruins, Washington, and the Islanders. I think those 3 teams are solidified in those top 3 spots at this East Division. That fourth is open. And the Penguins, while right now the Flyers are playing so bad, it's hard to imagine them being in a situation where they're playing playoff hockey. But I'm not convinced that the Penguins are some definite playoff team. I don't anticipate them being some wildly fantastic squad that just cruises through. They're going to have a bad stretch. They're going to have ugly moments. They're going to fall on their face for a little bit of time. And if the Flyers ever dig themselves out of this hole that they're in, who's to say that they can't take that fourth spot? So it's really not so much about, I think the Flyers deserve it. If anything, I guess my answer is, I think that the Penguins and whoever's in the fourth spot in the Eastern Division for what they are would allow the Flyers to slip into the fourth seed more so than, hey, this Flyers team is deserving of a playoff spot, if that makes sense. It's almost a product of their surroundings. I believe that the Flyers might sneak in due to the flaws of other teams ahead of them. We'll see, though. We'll see. Here we go. Man, Furkan is 23. I think you're coming to a conclusion too early. Sometimes you know. Sometimes you watch a player, he either has it or he doesn't have it. And here's the thing with Furkan Korkmaz. It's not the shooting. At times it is, right? This year, 30% and all. Last year, it was close to the 40. That you could deal with. He can't defend. He can't defend. And he gets abused defensively. As much as you work on your defense, as much as you work on things, you either have that lateral quickness or not. You could either defend these NBA players or you can't. You can't learn and add to your skill set to be able to defend these NBA playoff stars that you are going to face, these NBA playoff bench players that you are going to face in the postseason. You either have that or you don't have that. It's not something that you can add to your game. You either have that physicality to you. Like, you can't learn Ben Simmons' defense. You can't learn what Matisse Thybulle has. So when you say 23 and he still has time to learn and grow, the area to his game that keeps him off the floor when postseason matters is just that. It's that, where you have guys, and it wouldn't even be like the LeBron Jameses licking their chops. It would be guys like Eric Bledsoe and, I don't know, George Hill. Like these veteran, experienced guys that get 10 minutes off the bench. Those players are licking their chops getting Furkan. You can't learn that. You have it or you don't. He doesn't have it. Therefore, he never will have it. And he's going to have a tough time doing anything when it matters. That's where it's different. Yeah, but I'm not saying that Furkan has to get to the level of Ben or Matisse. I'm using it as an example of, trust me, I do not believe that someone can get to that level. They are special defensively. I'm using that as an example, though, in terms of growth at defense. Like, you have that. Ben and Matisse, they have that. They have that defensive touch. If you have defensive touch, you have the defensive touch. He doesn't have it. I'm not saying it has to get to that level. Yeah, but there's a difference between Tobias's and where Furkan is. With Tobias's size and with his body structure, he's becoming a better defender than he was. But that's not where Furkan is. It's very situational based off of people. It's based off of their ability, their skill sets. Tobias Harris, I think it was more of the, not so much body frame. Like, he had the body frame. He had it in him. I think it was more of the mentality of it than it was the actual ability to do it. Now that he's on a team where that defense is like their motto, and Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, it's that mentality switch of Tobias Harris more so than the, hey, Tobias could never defend. He was just, He was just, all right. But it was the mentality switch that changed. Furkan can't do it. That's the difference between the two. I know. I noticed that there's no Bryce Harper today. Very disappointing. Very disappointing. Morning, Brodes. How many games do you think the Sixers will win without Joel? And the Phillies lineup card is out. I did see the Phillies lineup card. And with the Sixers, well, I don't know how many games he's going to be out. I said if there's 14 games that Joel Embiid misses, I think that we are probably looking at, like I said, what I anticipate would be something along the lines of 8-6. If he misses 14 games, 8-6. Some might jump to 9-5, but it's something in that category. If he misses 14 games, I think it would be in that area. All right, let's take a peek at the I don't think they hold the first seed because I didn't think they were going to hold the first seed even with Joel Embiid out there on the floor. All right, here's your lineup of people with importance. Andrew McCutchen leading off, Reese Hoskins in the 2-hole, Didi Gregorius batting 3, Gene Segura batting cleanup, Odubel Herrera batting 5th, and 6th hole is Scott Kingery, Anderson on the bump. It also looks like Roman Quinn is batting 8th. Scott Kingery can't hit a fastball to save his life. Odubel Herrera's crushing bombs out there and bat flipping, so it does seem like it's his job to lose. He is the one that's grabbing it right now and taking it for a ride. Curious to see how Chase Anderson does in another outing. What's up, Jack? What's going on, man? How are you? Elliott has good numbers with the same D. Really? Because I didn't see that last night or 2 nights ago. To think that did you watch? Like, I don't know how you can see this decor and watch this team play and say, well, I mean, Brian Elliott, come on, this team stinks. That is what's supposed to happen when the D sucks in front of you, what you saw. Can Carter Hart play better? Yes. It's like Jalen Hurts. Did Jalen Hurts play better than Carson Wentz? Yes. They went 1-3 in his 4 games. So what does that tell you? There's still an insane amount of issues with the Eagles roster. There's still a million different problems with the Eagles team. When someone played better than Carson Wentz, they still lost 3 games in 4 games. So when Brian Elliott is playing in net, oh, well, the defense is still making the same problems. Yeah, guess what? The team still stinks. And there's still many other issues. That's the difference. Yes, Carter Hart is playing tonight. I don't think we need to be worried about him struggling because he's still young and has so much potential. Absolutely. The people that are ready to write off Carter Hart, that's just stupid. That's nonsense. That's called just not understanding sports, really, is what it is. I mean, you have a goaltender, and it's probably, look, in this city, there's a lot of casuals, and there's a lot of casuals that demand the Flyers to be outrageously good right now because they haven't been good in a while, and they haven't been able to grab the attention long-term for these people in the city. So when they hear Carter Hart for so long, not knowing much about hockey and not diving too deep into it, and then Carter Hart struggles, they just think he's a bust, he stinks, and they relate it to something like basketball where they hear the name Ben Simmons, and if Ben Simmons stinks, they think, oh, this guy's a bust, this guy's awful. That's because they don't follow hockey enough to really know how this all works. So, I think that it's more of the common Flyers fans, the common hockey fans that don't really study the league, study how goalies have grown into this league. They don't recognize that 20-year-olds in the NHL is not a common thing, especially net minding. I should say that from a net minder perspective, they don't really play and become your franchise goalie at 20 years old. So I think it has to do with a lot of people who are just not used to the sport of hockey, and they're just casual Philadelphia fans, casual Flyers fans, and they demand that type of excellence right away. All right, so this says, bro, let me put it to you this way. If you extract Furkan from this team, I believe there are many moves in strategy that will get from Doc Rivers' hands. Maybe I'm just reading this wrong because I don't have enough coffee in my bloodstream yet to kind of see the chat. But I understand what you're saying. That Furkan's skill set is something that you need off the bench. So you need shooting off the bench. Yes. Is Furkan your best option on this roster? Sadly, you need an upgrade, though, big picture. if you talk about seriously winning a championship and seriously having enough depth, you need more than what Furkan Korkmaz provides. And I don't think it's ironic that this team just before 3 games ago was looking to grab more shooting off the bench. You need an upgrade of Furkan. Is Furkan the three-point shooting idea something that you need off the bench? Yes. Is he the best player to do it? No. No, honestly, I do not plan on doing any sort of bracket challenge type of video. I haven't been fully engaged this year with March Madness to fully go full throttle on a bracket video, to be straight honest with you. Hockey has been my sport since 2013, but it's okay to be critical of Hart, but understand that he has no help in front of him and the goals are coming in the last 5 minutes of the game. Well, I don't think all of the goals are coming in the last 5 minutes of the game is necessarily true. He's allowed some stinkers, right? I mean, he's allowed some bad ones. He's allowed some short side ones. He's allowed some ones that he should have had that were not in the last 5 minutes of the game. He's also had to stop breakaways. I mean, you score a goal. If you're the Flyers, you score a goal and you make it 1-0 or you make it 2-0. And within 5 seconds, here's the other team on a breakaway because you fell asleep, or you get dominated defensively by Nick Jensen, who from an offensive zone draw beats you out to the neutral zone and beats you and just rips it. That one was Brian Elliott, but it's more about the idea of your defense falls asleep. As soon as you score a goal, that plays a role. So I agree with you that you can understand Carter Hart has been in a struggle. You can realize he's still the future of this team and recognize that if the defense gets cleaned up in front of him, he's going to look significantly better as well. You can't demand a kid this young to just somehow outplay the misery that's in front of him. It's that bad. It's that atrocious that you can't expect any type of goalie, no matter how good they are. Carey Price in his prime couldn't make this defense look reasonable. And that's where you're at. It's that bad in front of you. This is from Ja76. Obviously, the Sixers won't be as hot as they were last night. Obviously, the Sixers won't be as hot as they were last night, the whole absence of Joel. But how confident are you in the Sixers in the stretch without Embiid? I think that they're going to have some struggling moments. I think they're going to have some good wins. I think they're going to have some bad losses. They might have some average wins. They might have some average losses involved. I think it's going to be a mixture of a bunch of things. Thybulle has been great lately, and he's really been shooting the basketball better. And if that continues, and that's something to keep your eye out for how that puts him into a different spot in the rotation. Does it keep him in the same spot in the rotation? Does Doc Rivers move him anywhere? Does he think about starting Matisse Thybulle? I don't think that he will. I think he'll keep it the same. He's kept it the same pretty much all year for a reason. When healthy, when everyone's available, you've had Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Danny Green, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid out there for a reason. I think that this is what it's going to be. But Matisse Thybulle has really brought that intensity on both sides of the floor. He's really growing into himself. He's learning the calculated risk side of his defense, and he's picking and choosing the right moments to be aggressive. He's picking and choosing the right moments to kind of stand his ground, stay in front of his defender, and it's a magnificent watch. And I heard Ben Simmons say something along the lines of, look, if Matisse Thybulle got the minutes, you're talking about Defensive Player of the Year type of defense, and you're not wrong. I mean, it is that special. It's very unique to be this young and to have that, but his IQ defensively, look, there's times where it's questionable, but you're seeing the growth in that area. You don't see it as much as you once did, and you're seeing him develop and really show those steps being taken from the defensive side, from the IQ side of things. Matisse has been great. I would love to see him continue this type of shooting, though. And I heard Mark Zumov say this during the broadcast. He's shooting about 38% from three in this recent stretch, which is better than league average. 36 is. His season average prior to last night was about 29%. So he's really got to make the shots. And we all stress this. When you watch him shoot, it's not broken. It's not destroyed. He's just not a confident, consistent shooter. Will that change? I hope. I hope over time it will. No Mickey Moniak again? What the fuck? Yeah, Mickey Moniak not in the lineup, and he had a really nice opposite field double the other day. He's making noise in spring training. There's no denying that, and it seems like that there's no respect coming his way. Maybe they already have it written in stone. Look, there's no way for you to win the job this year, which, considering what the center field option is, I think that's a little ridiculous, but I'm not telling you I want Mickey Moniak over Odubel Herrera. I'm just saying nobody knew what the situation was heading into the year. How could he not be at least in the conversation? But it seems like he's already been ruled out right from the jump. And we've all been screaming. I've been screaming that he's not ready. He's not really there. It was a bit of a reach at one. I'd rather have Ian Anderson any single day of the week, the way that I watch him pitch for the Atlanta Braves, but that's neither here nor there. I do think it's interesting that he has at least created a spark for his name, and he still seems to get somewhat disrespected. That's telling me a little bit, though, no? Isn't that almost telling you something? If you see that someone has had a couple of home runs and had some nice swings of the bat, is that telling you something about the way that they feel about him? Or maybe they're just making a poor decision. I don't know. But I see it as it's almost telling me something. Thoughts on Odubel Herrera returning back to an all-star level? Well, I don't know if we can necessarily say that. He's had the first 3 games of this spring training was really good. He's starting to come back around. He had the home run. He had that bunt single, which was really solid as well, watching him fly to first base. But there were some games where he was striking out a bit, going 0 for 3, going 0 for 3, having a couple strikeouts, swinging through pitches, the helmet flying off with the power of the swing. So there were a couple ugly ones as well. I'm not going to say that he's all-star level and all just because of, a couple nice moments here in spring training. But I do think Odubel Herrera is the one in the running for that center field position. And if it's a true open competition and it's based on play, not based on anything else with Odubel Herrera and any of the other center fielders, well, then he's going to have the job. Jake Elliott with the $2 donation. Would you consider starting Matisse at the 3 versus the Nets? No, at least not in the beginning. I'm always open to adjustments. I'm always open to change if something doesn't work. But I am starting Danny Green. Did you see what Danny Green did in the beginning of that game to set the tone? That's the threat that he is. That's what he can be. Is that what he's going to be? I don't know. Danny Green's a very streaky guy. He'll give you 0 for 5. He'll also give you 5 for 5. And he has, I thought Doc Rivers said it best, because I don't understand the Danny Green hate to the level that it is. It's not ironic that winning championship caliber basketball follows Danny Green, all right? And I'm a big superstar guy. You're a championship team because you're the superstar. But there are important role players and there are important pieces that surround these superstars. I don't think it's ironic either that Danny Green's the type of player that consistently finds himself on teams that are competing. There's an important role to that. And with Danny Green, I'm willing to at least try Danny Green first before I make any sort of changes to the starting rotation. I value what he does offensively. And while he's not on the level of Matisse Thybulle and he's on the back end of defense type of plays, there are times where he blocks you at the rim. There are times where he does a better job out by the perimeter. And if you have that type of defense out of Danny Green on that night, I'm rocking with Danny Green. If it doesn't work, then fine. We can make adjustments if after a game or two, Danny Green's getting shredded and Matisse Thybulle is having some explosive plays defensively off the bench. But then if things get ugly with Matisse Thybulle, I'd have a short leash with that because I'd have to see how my offense struggles. And if the half-court sets get pretty ugly because of the lack of spacing with Ben and Matisse Thybulle out there on the floor. But I'm not against trying Matisse Thybulle, but I need to see what Danny Green would be first before I make those moves. Another $2 donation coming in from Jake Elliott. Be realistic. Danny can't be much better than Matisse. Why? Why do you say that? Why can't he be? The spacing is insane. The spacing on the floor is an insane difference with Danny Green and Matisse Thybulle. I even said this in my post-game show and the video that I mentioned about Joel Embiid just in general and the Bone Bruise with Danny Green. The threat that Danny Green is, whether he makes the shot or isn't going to make the shot, The fact that the other team is significantly more aware of Danny Green hanging out in the corner than Matisse Thybulle is everything I need to know. It might not even be about the delivery. It might not even be about if Danny Green gets the shot or not, or even gets the basketball. It's about Danny Green standing there. Danny Green just standing there in the corner is significantly better than Matisse Thybulle standing there in the corner based off of how teams have to think, how they have to react, and how they have to defend anybody else out there on the floor when someone's on the low block, when someone's in the low post. So it's just the fact that Danny Green is standing there in the corner that makes him much better than Matisse Thybulle on the offensive side. It's not even about the execution part of things. So I disagree with you, but that's what's fun about sports debate. Thank you so much for the $2 donation. I really do appreciate it. In the playoffs against the Nets, Matisse is going to have to play starter minutes to guard Kyrie. He's not going to. This is where I think everyone gets ahead of themselves. And Matisse Thybulle is going to play. Matisse Thybulle is going to have a significant role. Matisse Thybulle is going to have an important role in defending. You're not going to be able to take away. This team is going to need as much space as possible. Matisse Thybulle, you think Matisse Thybulle is going to play 30-plus minutes in the playoffs? He's going to play 30-plus minutes in the playoffs. I would be stunned. Seriously, I'd be stunned if Matisse Thybulle is logging 30-plus minutes in the playoffs. What is that going to do to your offense? I think he can give Kyrie a tough night, no doubt about it. You know, Ja comes in and says Thybulle is great, but come on, he can't guard Kyrie. I think he can give Kyrie a tough day at the office. I think he can make Kyrie earn a lot of it for sure. But I do think we're getting blown away here. It's like you're Here's my problem. You're devaluing Seth Curry, Danny Green, and all by just thinking about it's so funny because with Ben Simmons, the defense doesn't matter to people. It's only the offensive problems. With Matisse Thybulle, the offensive problems doesn't matter to anybody. It's only the defensive issue, the strongness of his defense that sticks out to people. And it's like very hypocritical, right? Oh, but Ben doesn't score. I don't care what he does on defense. Ben doesn't score. With Matisse, I don't care if he doesn't score. I only care about his defense. Oh, I got the hiccups because this damn coffee. Why is that? Well, what's going on here? I think it's kind of funny, though, how that's playing out. I think Matisse Thybulle is, and look, and this is my thing again. I'm not saying that it is impossible, but I'm giving everyone this team has stayed the starting five all along when they have been healthy. Now, playoffs adjustments come, but there's a reason why the starting five has been this starting five to this point. You are going to rock and roll with this as your starting five. Now, if that doesn't work, if you need to make an adjustment, if eventually there has to be a change because you need to do something differently, fine. Then you can raise the question of what do we do next? How do we try something new? What can we do differently to throw a different look at the opponent? Then you can make an adjustment. But you got to give the starting five what they are now, their attempt at it, before you start pulling all these options out and just changing just to change. You know what I'm saying? Jordan, good morning, Brodes. When do we think Daryl Morey will begin to make moves? Projected timelines of NBA trades in the past has been common to look like we're procrastinating. Yeah, I think, look, this is the way I say it, because people are asking the same thing about the Flyers right now. Make a move. You have to make a move. I demand a move. Are other teams making moves right now? No, they are not. Other teams are not making moves for a reason. There becomes a market. The market, everyone explodes. Everyone makes that push. Everyone makes their trades. And then the market dies down a little bit. It would be different if everyone is making moves and Daryl Morey is the only one looking around going, you know what? I'm just going to have fun on Twitter and tweet all day. No, Daryl Morey's not sitting on his thumbs. He's making phone calls. He's figuring things out just like everybody else. So it would be different if there's a billion moves being made and Daryl Morey was the only one not making anything. I think it's just the market and the way that it's playing out at the moment. That's how I see it out of Daryl Morey. You're going to lose if you play shot-for-shot basketball against the Nets. You need stops and create turnovers. Matisse, Green against Nets. Are you saying Matisse over Green? Are you saying the combination of Matisse and Green? Because, of course, it's going to be the combination of Matisse and Green. They're going to play Matisse Thybulle. And, yes, you are not going to be able to outscore the Nets, but you still need to score, right? You still need to generate some sort of offense. I'm not saying that you are if Danny Green was if Danny Green was the guy that you go with over Matisse, which it's going to be, at least in the beginning, you still win with defense. You still win with the defensive mentality. I'm not saying, because you're picking Danny Green over Matisse Thybulle, that means my mentality is you're going to have to go outscore the Brooklyn Nets and go shot to shot for the Brooklyn Nets. That's not what I'm saying at all. But you still have to score some point. Do I agree that it's a must that the Flyers make a move? Absolutely. You're doing yourself a disservice if you're not making a move to get a defenseman to help you out. Now, what level of defenseman? I don't know if there's any level of defenseman that can truly help out where you are with this mess, with this issue. So I have no clue if a defenseman will help, if a forward will help, but you owe it to yourself to make some sort of move to try and make that push for a fourth seed in the playoffs. From where you were last year to where you are now, you cannot afford to not make the playoffs and be that organization that continues to have good playoff runs and then go from not making the playoffs to a good playoff run to not making the playoffs. You can't have the flip-flop. So you owe it to yourself to make a move. Where are we? What do you think the bench rotation will be in the playoffs? Well, everything shrinks. So the problem here is I think there's going to be a trade, and some of these players might not be here. But let's say, I don't know, because there's going to be a trade. They're going to pick up somebody, and that person's going to be in the lineup. That person is going to be in the rotation, not the starting lineup, but that person's going to be in the rotation. So that's going to minimize somebody here. Let's say their starting five is what it is. Their bench is going to be shrunk. You're going to shrink your bench. You don't go 9 deep in the postseason. So Shake Milton, Dwight Howard, Matisse Thybulle. That's 3 guys. Even 8 sometimes is a lot of people. Maybe Shake Milton is a guy that ends up getting minutes taken away if you go out and get a George Hill. If you go out and get a George Hill, then it would be something along the lines of George Hill, Dwight Howard, and Matisse Thybulle. I think 8 is your rotation. Where does that put Furkan? Where does that put? I don't know. But you don't go 9 deep. You don't go 10 deep in the playoffs. It's not the regular season. You go about 8. So if you're thinking about 8, to me, it would be a veteran player that you pick up. It would be Matisse Thybulle, and it would be Dwight Howard. That would be my rotation. That would be how I would do it. We'll see, though. I would imagine that Furkan at least gets an attempt, and then once you see how miserable it is, maybe then his minutes diminish very, very quickly, and he turns out to be someone who never gets any minutes from there. That's how it's been for the postseason life of Furkan Korkmaz for the last 3 years or so. He gets a chance, it gets ugly, it gets bad, and then he never sees it again. That's probably what I anticipate seeing, but that's kind of where I see. But the problem is there's going to be a trade. If you think about a Larry Nance Jr., where does he come into play? Back up 4 minutes. The starters play so much, though. There's not enough minutes to go around. So if they go make a trade for Larry Nance Jr., he's in the mix. How would you... It's really interesting. I'm fascinated now that I'm thinking about it, because Dwight's going to be playing backup minutes to Joel. If you make a trade for Larry Nance Jr., he's playing. Who would be your primary ball handler? Would you somehow stagger your minutes at that point to get Seth Curry to play on the ball for a handful of minutes? I don't know what you would do. You're so negative on Korkmaz. He ain't that bad, dude. Look, I'm basing it off of history of his career. You want me to base it off of faith and optimism and something that's not true? Well, I don't know if I can do that. Here's the reality of the situation. There's a such thing as guys that can play in regular season basketball, but it doesn't relate to postseason basketball. And Furkan is that guy based off of his career to this point. I'm just basing it off of his history. All right? He's a guy that plays in the regular season, has some nice games, miserable for a majority of the games, gets into the playoffs, can't get a second of separation, gets destroyed defensively, he has to get yanked. There's a reason why he doesn't play in the postseason. No? Or you just think that that's ironic and that's all Brett Brown just being a bad coach? Oh, man. But there's a reason why Furkan has not touched playoff minutes. Yes, I saw Popovich say that Ben Simmons is an elite player without the jump shot. We do know that, but that doesn't mean that the lack of jump shot is not crushing what he can be, what he is not, right? I mean, there's still an element to this game that, yes, he's elite without it. That doesn't mean he doesn't need to get it because think about what he can be with it, right? And to an extent, he doesn't need it. He needs the aggressive mentality. That's what makes Ben Simmons special. It's not so much about the jump shot. It's about just the mindset. If he stays true to that aggressive downhill play, then yes, he doesn't need it. But Furkan tried to do too much. He's just got to be a catch and shoot type of player. Well, that type of that's so much harder to be in the playoffs because of playing better players. The closeout's quicker. The defense is more intense. The scouting is way more amplified. Everything is so much different in the playoffs that being that catch and shoot player, it's not as easy to be. You're not as successful being that player because when that closeout happens quicker, when these defenders get that instant closeout, where now you have to try and beat that player off the dribble, and he can't do that. And now you got to try and make that pass, and he can't do that. And that's where the turnovers come into play and the sloppy play from Furkan happens. I'm just basing it off of things that I've seen out of him in the past. $10 donation from Alec Pags. Korkmaz still sucks. Hope you're having a great day. Of course, it's Monday, 9:47. Having a great day? Headband is on. It's one of those days. We're going to attack the day. We're going to explode the day. It's Monday morning. Set the tone. Set the statement. If I didn't rock the bandana, different type of mentality. You know what I'm saying? But here you are. You got to attack the day with the mentality of fuck you. That's what the headband does. Thank you so much for the $10 donation. Cheers. Let's take a nice big gulp of this coffee. Everybody do it with me just to kind of start this day off. Amazing. Brodes, you should start going live during games. There's going to be times where I do. I'm not going to be able to do every single game, but there are going to be times when I do. Furkan did well against the Raptors. Look, there's always going to be games, and there's always going to be regular season games here and there that TJ McConnell has great games. You know what I mean? Like, there's players who have great games in regular season, and that doesn't always relate. And look, sometimes there's players that have a nice outing in a playoff game, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can rely on them to be that player every single night, and that's who they really are. And like, sometimes it happens. But we will win the finals in 3 games. I didn't know this. Spencer Howard's changeup tickles my balls. Oh, I didn't have to do that. The hell was wrong with me? How do we feel about? Look, if the Predators have him on the market, have Ekholm on the market, I think you got to try and make that push. I think you have to go out there and make some sort of push to help your team offensively and defensively. And it seems like Nashville is the place to go. I saw the reports. I saw the proposal, if you will, the projected trade. I would be very interested in that. You got to make some sort of splash to try and help your team out as best as possible. I would love the addition offensively along with Ekholm. Try and get you some sort of help on both sides of the ice here. All right, Shelfie, let me ask you this. As Shelfie's in the chat, of course, a big baseball mind here. Is Matt Moore legit? A couple questions to throw your way. Is Matt Moore legit? And nice outing. Look, he got destroyed, annihilated in that first inning the other night I think it was yesterday afternoon, but then he followed it up with some beautiful off-speed pitches and all. I'll tell you the projected trade in a second, but is Matt Moore legit with this lefty pitcher in the rotation as your fourth guy? Or am I falling into the hype of spring training and the Japanese league stats? Or is Matt Moore something to really be super juiced up about? I think my buddy actually texted me the proposal. So let me see if I can find it in the text here. I'll see if I can find it. Doesn't look like it's there. Damn, where did I see the trade proposal? I'm trying to see if I can find it. Matt Moore is capable of being a solid 4-5, which is what we need. He'll have some blow-ups, but he'll go 5 or 6 a lot more than Vince. Ew, don't even get me started with Vince Velasquez. No. Please, no. We don't need to do that again. How did Drew Smyly, bringing up the fact that Drew Smyly is even here right now, what? 1 year, $11 million deal? How do you get that if you're Drew Smyly? What am I missing here? Because there's never a time in my life that I would ever give that man $11 million for 1 year. That is what he got, right? I'm not going crazy here. I think he got 1 year, 11 mil, right? Oh my God, how? What? Is it the advanced analytic world here that we're missing out on something? Because that is insane to me. It really is. Like, you think about what guys like Paxton got and all. You're telling me you'd pay double for Drew Smyly than an opportunity on a guy like Paxton? I don't know. I mean, I just don't see it there. I don't know what they saw when he went out there to San Francisco. I have no clue. There was something. Now that we're on baseball topics, why not throw this around? Odubel Herrera. Who believes that he deserves to be the starting center fielder opening day? There's Mickey Moniak love here. People think that Mickey Moniak deserves that opportunity to get some time out there. Look, I don't think that Mickey Moniak is ready to play in the majors because of what he's doing here in spring training. I think that Mickey Moniak stinks, but he is having a nice showing, better than I ever anticipated, but he ain't ready. No, Mickey Moniak, stop it. Stop it with this nonsense with Mickey Moniak. The guy tripped over his feet out in left field trying to track a fly ball last year. What number 1 overall pick ever does something like that? Please. A $2 donation coming in from Jake Elliott. What's wrong with Vinny from Philly? 16K game. Dude, that 16K game, I'll never forget about it. I was at work listening to it on the radio. I worked at a warehouse in a solar company, a union solar company. I worked in the warehouse, and I did that for about 6 years when I was in high school, all the way through a little bit before I started the whole sports radio stuff. But we would have the Phillies game on the radio. We were listening to the game, and Vinny V strikes out another. Vinny V strikes out another. Vinny V gets another. We're like, what the hell is going on here? Who's this Vinny V character? And now we continue to watch him blow up inning after inning after inning. Here's my problem. I see Ian Anderson pitch, and I want to vomit. All right, Mickey Moniak tripping over his feet out in left field, or Ian Anderson, who's now a stud in the Braves rotation. It makes me sick. It makes me want to throw up. Watching Ian Anderson, I told you how I feel about Spencer Howard's changeup. I feel the same way about Ian Anderson. And I get robbed of that opportunity for Mickey Moniak, where I'm thrilled about a spring training opposite field double off the wall. He should have been doing that 2 years ago. And I know it's unfair to him, but nowadays there's guys in Major League Baseball that come up at 19 and they rock Justin Verlander and they rock Aaron Nola, and they're just beautifully putting good cuts together against Zach Wheeler. Here I am going old school, waiting for a 29-year-old Mickey Moniak to grow. Do we see an issue here? All these other leagues are getting these guys that are playing at 18, 19, and I got to wait for Mickey Moniak to be 62 before he makes his start. Come on. I'm done with that garbage. I did see this, though, and it's kind of funny. because it has to do with Matt Klentak. And when you look at Aaron Nola and his contract, because of how they avoided all the arbitration stuff, Matt Klentak with the Aaron Nola contract, does he deserve some praise? Does Matt Klentak deserve praise for Aaron Nola's contract and what he did to avoid the arbitration, right? Look, when his base salary, $11 million. You got the signing bonus involved. It's about that $12 million. Matt Klentak deserving some credit. Shelfie goes, nope. Unreal. Yeah, I'm with you, dude. Matt Klentak stinks. It's funny. I was very skeptical on the Dave Dombrowski hire at the time, but I am very intrigued with what Dave Dombrowski has done to this point. I'm always going to be concerned of when he leaves because it doesn't have to be that way. What I would have done, well, I like what Dave Dombrowski has done, and I like the professionalism of a baseball guy. Hello, Tampa Bay? Yeah, John Middleton here. I want your whole entire analytical team, and I want everyone in your front office. What's it going to take? That's what I would have done. Hey, Neander, John Middleton here. Get the fuck over here. That's what I would have done. Now, Dave Dombrowski, there's no reason for it to have to blow up the way that it does, but I watched the Dodgers, and what did they do? Very simple. Pluck their way off of Tampa Bay. Now, they're a market that spends significantly more than the Rays, and they use their style. They use that level of analytics, and they just have that style of analytics with a bunch of money. I want that. Now, that doesn't mean I'm fully out on the Dave Dombrowski experience. I'm skeptical of the blow up at the end because everywhere he goes, it turns hideous. But it's been hideous for so long that are you going to say, well, I'll take my chances because it's been so bad? All right. I mean, he has built up the Detroit Tigers. He has won a World Series with the Boston Red Sox. So there has been things there, but there's also been downfalls. I think one of the reasons why the Red Sox are where they are now is a part of the Dave Dombrowski experience. The Tigers have been having a tough time falling out of their mess because of where Dave Dombrowski left them at one point. So that does happen. But I am intrigued by the JT Realmuto, Didi bring back and Kinsler and adding to this bullpen. There is a background of support saying he gets teams to the World Series at the same time. So that's where I'm conflicted because you can build that without it having to result in the big Dave Dombrowski blow-up. The concern falls on Mick Abel and Bryson Stott. If they get moved and the return doesn't get us over the hill, it'll sting for a decade. So far, so good, though. Yes, but if you get significant pieces in return, right, it's a different story. Dude, I'm pumped for Stott. The thing is with Stott is, I think you have a good base where it's not, all right, when you're bringing this guy up, right? You have a good shortstop selection for the next couple of years where you don't have to rely on that. You don't have to wait for that to come up because you're somewhat solidified in that area. The pressure to bring someone up like Stott isn't there. Mick Abel, here's my problem too. I like Spencer Howard. I keep hearing Ruben Amaro Jr. say he's got top of the rotation stuff. I see the electric fastball, so young into his career and all, but man, I'm so... Because I'm thinking of Mick Abel, and I'm thinking about that side of things with pitching. What helps you really get over the hump is being able to have Nola, Wheeler, somebody, and then it's like, okay, here's this stud that you throw in, that Ian Anderson, that Sixto Sanchez. I don't know if you're going to have that. I don't know when that's coming. You need to go out and get, I always say, everyone asks me, what does this team need? And you go through center field. And I always bring up that when Andrew McCutchen is done, you're going to seriously need some help at the left field position. But I always think you need to slot someone in front of Aaron Nola. And that doesn't come around often. Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole, these free agent signings, this big type of player that you get, it just doesn't, you can't pluck those guys off trees. But to be a serious World Series guy, you need that player. You need that type of dog. Where are you going to get that dog? It'd be nice if someone could get there through a draft where someone blossoms into that. I ain't ever relying on a pitcher to be able to do that. because it doesn't happen in this organization. Aaron Nola is the only one, and you need someone in front of him. You need someone with the skill set even higher than him, and you might have gave that away for JT Realmuto. Just saying. You might have actually had that and then gave it away. I think that's what you need. And I get confused with this Mick Gable stuff, Spencer Howard stuff, because I don't know. Their track record. Quite frankly, I'm basing it off of their track record. When Aaron Nola is the only one that you can look at in a long time, it scares me. That's all. It scares me. But with that being said, it's 10 o'clock. And when it's 10 o'clock, you know what that means? It means that Coffee with Brodes has ended. We have a great week ahead of us. I have some big news to share, but we're going to tease that for later on in the week. So just be aware on Twitter, follow me at Brodes81, that there is some news dropping at the end of the week that I think you will all enjoy. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Coffee with Brodes. As always, we will see you tomorrow, 9 a.m., when we have our Coffee with Brodes. See you guys then.